Hi, it's Pancake Analytics. I wanted to welcome you personally to the Pokemon Data Discussions YouTube channel, as well as clearly define what this YouTube channel is and what it isn't. What it is an appreciation for Pokemon data, data science, analytics, and statistics. What it's not a stats class. You will learn the overviews of techniques, but if you want to know more about the specifics, follow me on Instagram if you're not already at Pancake Analytics, and we can have a more in-depth discussion that way, i.e. if there's any data you see in this video that you want, I can provide it to you. Again, I hope you enjoy the video and please leave some feedback. Thank you.
Hey, this is Allison Lee Rosenfeld. You may know me as the voice of Nurse Joy, Bonnie, and Sophocles from Pokemon, and you are watching Pokemon Data Science Discussions. Enjoy!
Just spitting this off the top of my dome. Pokemon Data Discussion. I need to see a line that's a linear, a K-curve. I don't know what the other kind of stat words is.
These ain't no flat jabs, these ain't no wax tabs, these are pancake analytics. Pokemon discussions.
Pancake, yeah!
Pancake, yeah!
On the queen of pancakes, yeah! Pancake is our life. I eat pancakes for breakfast, I eat pancakes for our lunch, I eat pancakes for dinner. It's a pancake town in this whole world. I eat a baby pancake.
Grab the butter and don't forget the scissor. Pancake Analytics is the stat wizard. She clackety clackety clack.
Pancake, yeah!
Pancake, yeah! It's over!
It's over!
Hi, and welcome to Pokemon Data Discussions, the YouTube channel. I'm your host, Pancake Analytics, and this is our very first episode. Thank you for joining the discussion. In this episode, I'll be going over a k-means clustering technique that we're going to apply to Pokemon Go data, specifically the Kanto region. I want you to focus on the 4 Pikachus. When you first start playing a Pokemon game, you are in the top left quadrant. You know nothing about the data, nothing about the story. Everything's new to you. I want to get you to the bottom right quadrant Pikachu as soon as possible. The clearest picture of our data. Right? So that's what a k-means cluster does. So what it does is it puts the focus on the trends within our data. And next I'll explain to you how it does this. So to explain this to you, I want you to trust the process here. Here's a brief overview of the approach we'll be taking. We're going to standardize our variables, analyze an elbow curve, validate our clusters. That was a whole lot of statistical jargon I just threw your way, but let's bring it back to Pokemon. So the data set that I'm feeding in, the metadata, you have special attack, base attack, special defense, speed, experience, candy that it takes, walking distance, rarity within the Pokemon Go field. So what standardizing our variable does, it's going to bring this all on the same level playing field by setting our mean to 0 and a standard deviation to 1. Next, we analyze our elbow curve. So what the elbow curve is going to tell us is how many clusters we should have. So you want to look where that line graph bows, right? So this is like our first decision. I have to choose between 3 sets of clusters, Charmander, Bulbasaur, or Squirtle. Then next step would be to validate our clusters. And a quick way to do that is visualize your data, see what the top 2 components are driving, and see if it really makes sense to what you already know about your data. In this case, our Pokemon data, right? So Shuckle, as you can see in the bottom right, he's in the high defense group, which that makes sense to me. Alakazam, he's not in his group. He has high special attack. He's vastly different from Shuckle. So this is validation of our clusters. Now, before we continue, let's validate our clusters a little bit more, because you're probably thinking to yourself like, yeah, okay, buddy, you didn't really validate it. You just looked at one graph and called out Shuckle versus Alakazam. So here's more validation, right? So we're looking at the averages of all our Pokemon stats to make sure that there's a significant difference between every cluster we have. And as you see, I've named the clusters Elite, Valuable, High, Medium, and Low. So next, I'll go into more detail on which Pokemon fall into these clusters. So first off, we have our top 2 Kanto Pokemon clusters, and this is going to be our Elite group and our Valuable group. So as you can see, the Elite group, the majority are Water types, then comes Fire types and Rock types. Your top attacker is Alakazam, and your top defender is Golem. So the reason why I'm calling out not only the top attacker, but the top defender in each one of these clusters is to bring to the fact that since we standardized our variables, we normalized all the Pokemon data. So now being Elite in special attack or attack holds the same value as being Elite in base defense or special defense, right? It's looking just for the top tier of Pokemon overall. And that's what a K-means cluster is supposed to do for you. So let's talk a little bit about the valuable cluster. And that is your top attacker is Gengar, and your top defender is Cloyster. Now, before I move on to our bottom tier clusters, so what does this actually mean? So it means that Alakazam has more in common statistically with Golem than it does with Gengar. Now we've come to our bottom 3 Kanto Pokemon clusters. Now I don't want to say that there's no value within using Pokemon from these groups. It's just you won't get your bang for the buck, especially in person versus person battles in the Pokemon Go League. So as you can see, it's displayed again is the top attacker and the top defender in each category. This really highlights the value of evolving Pokemon. As you can see, Abra maxed out will only, best case scenario, be in the medium cluster. So before I wrap up the Pokemon Go analysis here, I just wanted to touch a little bit on weather conditions and why it's important with these clusterings, right? So how you read this chart is, if I want to find a Pokemon in the wild, in the Elite cluster, and it's a rainy day, I have a 33% chance of running into them. Versus if it's foggy outside, I have 0% chance of running into them. So this is important because it depends on where you're playing Pokemon Go. So I suggest you screenshot this and have fun out there catching. Hi, I want to give a quick thank you to all my Instagram followers. I created the Pokemon Data Discussions YouTube channel based on an Instagram poll. If you'd like to see me do a podcast or a YouTube channel won out. And in this section, I'm going to interview one of my Instagram followers. If you'd like to be a part of this channel, if you want to join the Pokemon Data Science Discussions, just go ahead and follow me on Instagram at Pancake Analytics. Send me a direct message and just let me know you want to be interviewed and we'll set something up. Thank you. Hey, welcome to Pokemon Data Science Discussions. In this section, I take my Instagram followers and interview them. So, first, how did you interact with the page?
interact with the page. I don't quite remember if I was linked to it or not. I might have just been tagged in a video, but I'm pretty sure that I noticed your page after somebody else tweeted it inside of their story. And I was immediately intrigued because there was an amazing Pokemon on it.
Yeah. So specifically here, we're going to talk about a Pokemon in this episode, and I want you to drive that conversation. So we spoke beforehand, and you want to speak about Mudkip. Why Mudkip?
It's because Mudkip is the ultimate starter. There is no starter that has ever been, has been, or will be better than Mudkip. And that is a fact.
So one of the things we do, especially in this episode, is a segmentation that treats all Pokemon at a level of 100. Do you have any intention of getting Mudkip to a level 100?
I have not done it yet. I'm trying to, but I have not completed that task yet.
So now let's talk about middle evolutions a little bit. They're usually awkward for starters, and especially for Mudkip, it's very awkward. What do you think of Marshtomp?
Exactly. He's adorable. He's so compact, and he's so exactly what you'd expect out of a teen starter. He's awkward. He just sits around staring in space like it's exactly what you want out of an awkward, quiet teenager. Because Mudkip is kind of an awkward, quiet Pokemon with a hint of adorableness on the side.
Nice. So we're very pro Mudkip in this conversation, but just to give the flip side of the coin, what are the cons of using Mudkip, and why shouldn't someone use Mudkip?
4 times grass weakness. Use an ice beam. If they don't like the smell of fish, then they can wear a mask. If they don't like seeing adorable things with chubby cheeks, they can just wear sunglasses.
So thank you for joining me again, and before we go, I just want you to tell anyone watching this video why they should be following Pancake Analytics and what you get out of our services.
I found quite a few things helpful about your page, including all of the statistics you guys tend to throw out.
Yeah.
Whether it be concerning video games specifically, or any other aspect of daily life, there's a lot of good information to have on this thing.
Just spitting this off the top of my dome. Pokemon data discussion. I need to see a line that's a linear, a K-curve. I don't know what the other kind of stat words is.
These ain't no flapjacks, these ain't no wax tats, these are pancake analytics. Pokemon discussions.
Pancake, 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 yeah!
Pancake, yeah!
I'm the queen of pancakes, yeah! Pancake is our life. I eat pancakes for breakfast, I eat pancakes for lunch, I eat pancakes for dinner. It's a pancake town in this whole world. I am baby pancake.
Grab the butter and don't forget the scissor. Pancake Analytics is the stat wizard. She clackety clackety clack.
Pancake, yeah!
Pancake, yeah!